Hello everybody, I am Shane from Silverstein, and it has been 10 years since we put out our record Discovering the Waterfront, and I'm gonna let you know 10 things that you probably don't know about the album. The first thing you might not know about the album is that we're from Canada, but we recorded the album in Los Angeles, and it was our first real home away from home, if you will, and it was kind of inspiring. And one of my favorite things is we recorded the drums at the Capitol Records building, you know, the big circular building. And next door, Bon Jovi was in the studio recording a string section, which was quite crazy. Didn't see Bon though. I think I saw Richie Zambora, but no Bon. The second thing you might not know is that the record was almost produced by super producer David Bendith. He is a Canadian and wanted to produce our band really badly. We talked it over with him, and at the last minute, they wanted us to record in London, Ontario, which I don't know if you've ever been to London, Ontario. It's not exactly Los Angeles. So at the last minute, we decided we loved a couple records that Cameron Webb made, and he became our producer. And we've had a great relationship since. He's made 2 other records with us. He's mixed our live record, and he is one of our best friends. So it's just a beautiful marriage that stemmed from that moment. But hey, David Bendith, you've made some very good records, so keep doing what you're doing. Another thing you might not know about Discovering the Waterfront is on the title track, there is a very, very nice string section part. And that was actually played by Mackin of Yellowcard fame. And it was funny because I didn't know the band at the time. We had never met them. And I was just thinking about, what's a band that has violins that might want to play? And obviously Yellowcard was the first thing that came to mind. And he came in with his friend, a viola player, and they did it, but we weren't even there for it when he did it. And apparently, after he heard the song when it was all done, he was very upset that there was a scream in the song, and he wanted the scream gone. But sorry, Sean, we had to leave the scream in. But you played a great violin. Thank you for that. Never thanked you after all these years, so thank you. Another thing you may not know about Discovering the Waterfront is the song My Heroine, which is maybe the most popular song from the record, almost didn't appear on the record. A lot of people in the band and even the producer Cameron, they were not so sure about the song, and I think part of it was when I wrote the demo, I really recorded it really, really, really badly, and I think they didn't see through the horrible recording that was in my basement with like fake bad keyboard drums. And so a lot of people kind of were like, well, we're recording 11 songs and we're going to put only 10 on the record, which we'll get to in a second. Maybe that's the one that has to go. And I was like, hell no. I started throwing things in the studio. I started breaking stuff. Thank you, Victory Records, for covering that bill. And I ended up getting my way, as lead singers almost always do. And My Heroine ended up making the record and turned into a huge hit. So very happy about that. And maybe if that wasn't on the record, maybe I wouldn't be sitting here. Maybe I would be sitting here. Who knows? That's a really crazy space-time continuum thing that we'll have to have Stephen Hawking look into. The record was originally only going to be 10 songs, and it, as everyone knows, it's 11 tracks. And the one that I wanted to cut out was a song called Always and Never. And the reason I wanted to cut it out is because I'm fairly lazy when we make records, and I like to write as few lyrics as possible. And I just didn't know what to do over this song. So we played around with it in the studio, and I was in the vocal booth. I think I might have tried rapping at one point. Didn't know what to do, and then our producer Cameron was like, hey, I think you should just scream. So I did it. I screamed. I did a nice scream, and it ended up being one of our favorites on the album, and we decided we couldn't cut any of the songs. So even though we were only getting paid for 10 tracks, that's a publishing thing for you music industry people, we ended up putting 11 on the record because we felt so strongly about all the songs. So some lyric stuff. So the lyrics for My Heroine, I actually wrote on a train from Paris to London. They have that crazy fast train that goes under the water. And didn't have much to do. I guess they didn't have iPods back then. Whatever. I didn't have anything to listen to or anything to read, so I was like, I better do some writing. And then the drink trolley came by, and I had a couple drinks. They have alcohol on the trains there. It's fantastic. and I drank a lot. And then I had this silly idea about heroin the drug and heroine the female hero, and I decided to marry them. And that's where the idea for my heroine came, the double entendre, if you will. So thank you, alcohol, for that idea. And I still have that very messily written lyric sheet somewhere. Maybe I'll auction it off for charity or something if anyone cares. Smile in Your Sleep was written after I awoke from a crazy sleep. We had flown over to the UK for the very first time, and I wasn't accustomed to that sort of jet lag. So we landed, and we got into our bus over there in the UK, and I got into my bunk, and I don't even know how long I slept for, probably like 12, 13, 14 hours. And I woke up, and I didn't really remember where I was, that we'd flown. It all felt like this weird dream, but part of my dream was that I had murdered my girlfriend at the time. And yes, and ended up, it was kind of powerful when you wake up and you're not sure what's going on. So that was a bit inspiring to the songs for Smile in Your Sleep. Not to be misogynistic or anything, it's just a dream. We ended up breaking up, but it's okay. And another lyric from the same time was written based on a book called The Lovely Bones, which they made into a terrible movie. Don't watch the movie, just read the book. Book is great, movie sucks. And it was interesting about that because it was, again, on this European tour around then when I talked about where I wrote a lot of the lyrics for the album. And I'd went on a little 2-day trip excursion, the same one where I went from London to Paris, and I didn't have anything to read, as I mentioned. So I thought about this book, The Lovely Bones, that I had been reading and I had really enjoyed, but I'd only been about halfway through the book. So I started writing and I was thinking about it, and I wrote the song based on what I thought would happen in the book, and I was totally, totally wrong. So a lot of people are like, but that doesn't happen in the book. And I'm like, well, first of all, it's a song, it's okay. But the other thing is that I didn't know what was happening, and I was wrong, and that's fine. So it is a great book. Check it out. The movie with Mark Wahlberg, really super weird casting on that one. But check out the book. It's great. The Lovely Bones, based on the song Already Dead. The song Call It Karma, which is the last track of the record, I wrote in my closet, which was my little bedroom when we were recording. We had a 2-bedroom apartment in California, and the rhythm section slept in one room, and the guitar section slept in another room, and I had a walk-in closet with a cot. And that was my little, where does Superman live? What's his, Fortress of Solitude. That was my little fortress of solitude, if you will. Thanks for the help there. That was my fortress of solitude. So I spent a lot of time in there, and I remember Call It Karma was kind of the one song. Again, we had 11 songs and we only had to put 10, and we didn't know which one we were going to cut. So I thought maybe it would be Call It Karma, and then one day in my fortress of solitude, I wrote down all the lyrics, and it was kind of a crazy thing. Like, they just sort of came to me, like I just wrote it on a page, and I didn't stop. But I was almost done the song, and I didn't have a title. So I went for a walk to this vegetarian restaurant that's fantastic called Native Foods, and in the parking lot they have all these little spaces, and they'll have different sayings like love your mother or whatever, and one said Call It Karma. And I thought that was a really great line to kind of tie everything I'd written together. So I ended up incorporating that into the song, and it became the title and one of the staples of Discovering the Waterfront. And the last thing that you probably didn't know about Discovering the Waterfront, it was actually mixed twice. And that wasn't because it was mixed and we hated it and we wanted to, do it again, or it was a problem. It was mixed because our producer, Cameron Webb, thought the record was so special that he went on his own time and his own expense to remix the record again at a different studio on a different console just to see how it would sound. And he was very, very adamant that this record was going to be something special and, people would care for years to come. And we were like, yeah, I don't know, it's got some cool tunes, I guess. So it was kind of crazy how he ended up remixing the record again. And then I think it actually got remastered a couple times before it came out too, just so that the record could really be perfect. And who knows, maybe that's part of the reason that the record still, has stood the test of time.